So today in part 2 of our lesson for 1.2, we're going to solve equations using the distributive property. Do you guys remember that term from last year, distributive property? You learned it in chapter 7, I think, of your book last year. Okay? So with distributive property, we know order of operations says we need to get rid of parentheses, right? We need to get rid of them. We can't solve an equation that has parentheses. But I can't do 1 minus 5x because they are not like terms. So when that happens, I take the number on the outside and I multiply it by each term inside, and we have to pay attention to the signs, okay? So 2 times 1 is 2, okay? 2 times negative 5x. What's 2 times negative 5? Negative 10, and then we bring down the x. So the reason we have a subtraction sign here is because 2 times negative 5 was negative 10. So if it had been positive 10, I would have put a plus sign there. Okay? You guys with me so far? All right, so now let's bring down the rest of the equation. We got rid of the parentheses when we distributed. Okay, now we have 3 terms over here on the left side. Anytime we have more than 2, we look for terms we can combine. Does anybody see which terms we could combine? Raise your hand and tell me. Which terms of those 3 can be combined together?
2 and 4.
Mason? 2 and 4. Now tell me this, is 4 positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive because there's a plus sign right in front of it. Don't be thrown off by the subtraction sign in front of the 10x. 10x is negative. So 2 plus 4 is what? 6 minus 10x equals negative 8. All right, and now I'm kind of on the home stretch at this point. Now I can just keep solving. Remember, guys, we move the number not connected to the variable first. So how do I get 6 to cancel to the other side? How could I get it to cancel to the other side? Anybody remember?
Minus 6.
Yeah, minus 6 both sides. Minus 6 both sides. And then we have negative 10x equals negative 14. All right, one more step and we're done. One more step and we're done. Michael? And what would I put in the bottom?
14.
No.
Oh, no, 10 because it's the
Very good. I need to put negative 10 because that's what's connected to x. So if it's negative up top, I need to make sure I divide by negative 10. Now I have, guys, a fraction. Can I just divide that and get a whole number? No, I can't. So I'm just going to see if I can reduce it. Could I reduce negative 14 over negative 10? Yeah. What can I reduce it to?
Oh, no. 7 over negative 7 over negative 5.
Okay, so we got this whole negative thing. How many negatives am I dividing? You can tell me. 2, so that would be positive because that's an even number. So I'm just going to say 7 over 5 so I can be done. If I said negative 7 over negative 5, then I have to write it all over again, okay? So we can kind of do that in the same step. So I want you, okay, I want you to do this distributive property on the second one. I'm going to kind of walk around and check on you guys. Try to write step 2. Just stop there because if you mess up on step 2, I don't want you to keep going. All right, so we're going to try to let you work ahead and we'll see who can get this distributive property multiplied. All right, when I did the distributive property, anybody want to raise your hand and tell me what did you get when you distributed that 6? Okay, what did you get? Let's go with Micah.
30 minus 8 plus 12 equals negative.
Okay, so, all right, so you got the negative, but you forgot to multiply 6. Remember, we have to still multiply the 6. 6 times 5, he was right. He got 30. Did you remember to multiply by the second one? Okay, what'd you get, Nick?
I got negative 48.
Yes, negative 48v. Continuing that streak from yesterday. You had a strong day yesterday. All right, plus 12. Sounds weird. Equals negative 54. Okay, so now we need to look for some like terms over here. Anyone want to raise your hand? Like terms you see that can be combined? Anybody see one? Mason?
30 plus 12.
Yes, 30 plus 12. Those are two numbers. And I can see that 12 is positive because there's a plus in front of it. 30 plus 12 is what?
42.
42 minus 48v equals negative 54. Okay? All right, this is where we call it home stretch, right? Because everything's combined, all right? And now we're ready to start moving our terms to the other side so we can solve for our variable. Next step. Who knows? I need someone different. What's my next step? Someone new. All right, Michael, what's the next step?
The next step, what you want to do is, you want to find the like terms.
Okay, I think we did that, so we need to move something over here on the left side. Which one would I move first?
42.
Very good. And would I add it or subtract it?
Subtract.
Very good. Subtract 42 to the other side. Would I add 54 and 42 or subtract them? Add and keep. Very good. Negative 48v equals negative 96. Now I divide both sides by negative 48. I know my answer is going to be positive or negative. Positive. I know it's not going to be 1 because that would just be 48 over 48. Now, this one, you might say, well, I think it's going to be 2, right? We know it's going to be at least close to 2, but is it exactly 2? You can't guess. So you have two choices. You either do this mental math somehow, and I'm going to explain in a sec, or you do long division, okay? 48, right, because that's what I'm dividing here, is really close to what number? 50, right? Well, again, my guess is 2, right? So what's 50 times 2? That one's easy. 50 times 2 is 100, right? How many less is 48 compared to 50? How many less?
2.
It's 2. And if I do that twice, that's 4, right? So 48 times 2 should be 4 less than 50 times 2. So what's 100 minus 4?
96.
And then it's 96, and you know it's 2. Okay? So we can use this strategy of rounding to those easy numbers that can be divided, and then we can adjust our sums. Okay? So let's do one more. What about, let's say 47. Let's do 47. 47 times 2. All right? So remember, 50 times 2 is our starting point, right? Which was what? 100. How many less is 47 from 50? 3. So based on that, what's 47 times 2?
97.
Because you got to do it twice. I heard it.
94.
94. Okay? Now, if that went over your head, that's okay. All right? But I'm going to start giving you these hints on how to do mental math a little easier because we don't have our calculators to rely on. All right? So those strategies can be really helpful. And guys, I promise, once it clicks, it does make things a lot easier. All right. Were those easy equations to solve? Look at it. Take a step back. All right. Does that look easy? No, it doesn't look as easy as the first ones we did, but we can just take it a step at a time and we can get there. All right. So now we're going to put decimals into the mix. There might be a little bit of work by hand, okay, but it's real short. Okay.
And you said we're not doing the triangle today?
We are doing the triangles today because that's one of your homework questions, and it's on your quiz, and it's on your test. So it's a really important concept.
When's our quiz? Next week?
Monday. Yep. All right. So the first thing we need to do here is we need to unpack the distributive property. Okay. So 6.5 times 2, right? We need to distribute 2D. And negative 3. I want you to go ahead and come up with the next step on your equation. If you need to multiply off to the side, you can do that, okay, to find those numbers. Okay, so we bring down the 8.5, What is 6.5 times 2? Did you guys get that? 6.5 times 2 is 13. D. Okay. What's 6.5 times negative 3?
Negative 19.5.
Yes, negative 19.5. And then we have plus D. All right, now this is going to help you on one of your homework questions. Does anybody remember if there's no number in front of the variable? Y'all can just tell me what is there. A 1. Okay, I would write it just to remind yourself. All right, if you're really trained on it and you don't need to, you just remember it. That's great. You don't have to. All right, what can I combine over here? Do one of my girls know in the back? What can I combine? One of my like terms. All right, I have 13D minus 19.5 plus 1D. Allie? Very good, my D's. And what's 13 plus 1? There you go, 14D. Okay, so 8.5 equals 14D minus 19.5. All right, you think you guys can take it from here?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and finish. Okay, what's the next step? Next step, Connor Starling, Connor S. What's my next step?
Gotta subtract 19.5 by 8.5.
Okay, you're close, but since it's already subtraction, what am I going to do? What's the opposite? Do the opposite.
Let's subtract 19.5 by 9.
Right, but since it's already negative, we add it, right? I think that's what you might have meant.
Yeah.
Okay, so add 19.5. So he's right. We need to do 19.5 first. Okay, what's 8.5 plus 19.5?
10. It's 10, but I was because
No, they're both positive. Add them.
For the whole answer, it's 28.
28. Yes, yeah. Okay, there you go.
No, because I said it's real because 5 plus 5 equals 10. And then
Oh, I got you. He was doing it step at a time. I got you. All right, so 14D is still on the other side. What do I divide both sides by? 14, right? Okay, and then D equals 2. D equals 2.
Got it right.
Okay, you did it? Who got 2? Who got 2? Okay. Oh, I got you. So did you do like 4 over 2?
No, because it's 28 over 14 and they both got their 7.
Yeah.
That's why. Because I didn't simplify. I thought it was going to equal 7.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you divide it. 28 divided by 14. Okay, we're going to save this last one. We're going to hold off on that one and see if we have time at the end because it's just more of the same. We've done 3 distributive properties. Okay, so we're assuming the fourth one is basically just the same thing. All right. Now, finding the mean. Okay, this is not the only time you're going to see mean. Okay, this first time, I'm pretty much just going to have to walk you through it, okay? So, even after I walk you through this, you might be like, there's no way I can do this on my own. That's okay, all right? We're going to keep reviewing it. So, this is the first time we'll see it.
I think I remember.
The mean is the what? He just said it.
Average.
It's the average. What do I do to find the average? Okay, so the first step, I think we're all on the same page. We're going to go 2 plus 0 plus 1.5 plus 0 plus x. And you just said I need to divide everything by what?
By how much there is, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, divide everything by 5. And the sum divided by the number of numbers is going to give us the mean or the average. Okay? So that's what we're saying here in this equation. That add all the numbers together, divide them by 5, and my average is going to be 1.5. All right, so now I need to start kind of breaking this down over here. And the goal is to figure out what does this last number have to be so I can divide by 5 and my average is 1.5. Okay, so I can simplify the numbers that I do know. What would it be if I added all these numbers together?
3.5.
Right, because the zeros don't have any value. Okay, so 3.5 plus x over 5 equals 1.5. Now this is where we start seeing something that we haven't seen yet. This addition up here, I can't add those together. Okay? This is the first time we're seeing this. I'm adding terms, I can't combine them, and it's in a fraction. So what I need to do here is I need to get rid of my fraction, meaning I need to get this denominator to cancel, just the denominator. So I do that by multiplying by the reciprocal. All right, so this is a step that I need you to learn. If I want to get rid of my fraction, whatever number is in my denominator, I'm going to flip it so I can cross reduce it. Okay, you need to be writing this in your notes. Okay, flip it so you can cross reduce. And whatever you multiply one side by, what do you do to the other side?
Multiply it by that.
Multiply it by that too. All right, so 3.5 plus x equals, now if you need to do the multiplication, you can. Just off to the side, 1.5 times 5 is 7.5. Okay, so that equals 7.5. Now one more step to get x by itself. And what would that step be?
Subtract 3.
Subtract, because addition is connected to x, I can subtract 3.5 from both sides to get x by itself. And what's 7.5 minus 3.5? So x equals 4. All right, so what does this mean? This means, I keep saying mean in all these different, okay. So the reason why my answer is 4 is because on Friday I have to run 4 miles. So my average miles that I ran per day is 1.5. Okay? Now let me ask you a question about this chart. Overall, do you think this was a good running week for me? No, why?
Because you did nothing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday.
Okay? So had I ran at all, at least a mile or two on Tuesday and Thursday, would I have to run 4 miles on Friday to hit my average? No. 4 miles is way more than anything I ran the other 4 days. You think I'm going to be kind of hurting on Friday, running 4 miles? When, I know, right? Okay, so do you kind of see how we can make conclusions? How we can do that just based on some numbers in a chart? Okay, all right, last example. Triangles. Okay, this is going to look a little like weird until we can understand what's going on. Okay, now something that we should know is the sum of the angles of a triangle. Does anybody remember when I add all the angles of a triangle together, what does it equal? 180. Y'all tell me. Everybody together, what does it equal? 180. Okay, so I need an equation. 180 is my total. Okay, and my rule says I can add each angle measure together. You say, well, they're variables. That's okay. I'm going to figure out what Q stands for. Okay, what value? So Q plus 3Q plus another Q. If you write it in a different order, you started at 3Q, that's fine too. Okay, so is there anything I can combine here, like terms?
Yes.
All of them, right? I can add all my Q's together.
Because they all equal 1.
They all
Well, the
equal
rest
one.
Yeah, so these are understood ones. So what is it when I add them all together?
5Q.
5Q equals 180. Now I divide both sides by 5. Okay, you can do the long division off to the side. 180 divided by 5 if you need to. 5 goes into 18 3 times. Okay, bring it down. 5 goes into 30 6 times. That long division will always be real simple, okay? Maybe 1 decimal point. All right, so Q equals 36. But that is not my answer. You guys got to hear me on this. So even last hour after we did this, I had kids stopping here, okay? 36 is not my answer. Okay, 36 is Q, yes. Okay, so if it's just a Q in here, yeah, my angle measure is 36. But my top angle measure is 3Q. So if I found that 1Q equals 36, how much would 3Q be?
36 times 3.
36 times 3. And again, you can work it off to the side if you need to. 36 times 3 is 18. Carry it, 108 degrees. So this is your answer. I need to see on your homework question number 10, that's what I need to see is all three. You don't have to draw the triangle, but you need to list the three measurements and box them in. Okay? All right, we're going to do one more. We're going to do the yellow one. I want you to set up your equation for the yellow one. So m plus 2m plus m plus 10. In the parentheses, you can put them in there, but because there's no number outside the parentheses, it's not gonna, it doesn't mean anything. What did I say they all should equal? 180. Okay. Is there anything I can combine over here on the left side?
All the M's.
All the m's, right? Deasia, what did you get when you combined your m's together? M plus 2m plus m. Very good. 4m plus 10 equals 180 minus 10 from both sides. 4m equals 170. Divide both sides by 4. Okay, so again, we're going to come over here. 170 divided by 4. All right, go ahead and divide that. It will be a decimal, but only one decimal. Okay, go ahead and divide that. What did you get, guys?
42.2.
Yeah, it's very good. So we carry that down. 4 goes into 10 2 times. And then 8, and then 2. Bring down my 0. And a decimal, 42.5. So awesome. I know one of the angle measures. M equals 42.5 degrees. But what do I need to do to find 2M?
Multiply by 42.5.
Yes, multiply 2 times 42.5. And that would give us 85 degrees. And then on the last one, what do I need to do to my M value?
Add it to.
Yes, add 10. So this one's going to be 52.5 degrees. And again, guys, this is my answer right here. The three angle measures, okay? So if you stop at 42.5, that's only going to be half credit on your test, okay? You have to tell me all three angle measures. And on your homework, that's what you're going to do too. Find each. I had to add 10 because it said M plus 10. So I took my M value and I added 10. Okay? All right, guys, that's everything you need to know for 1.2.